Cheers, Cookie.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Chris. How's things? It must be good coming into a weekend run of games on the back of back-to-back wins.
Bit different, isn't it? Yeah. It's where you want. It's where you want to be going into an incredibly tough game on Sunday afternoon. But yeah, of course, there's an upturn in mood, which you would obviously expect after. Yeah, not a spectacular result against Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup, but a really important one for Sheffield United and the players, and a much improved performance on Tuesday night, and I believe the deserved victory, even though there was obviously a couple of key incidents that went our way, but we gladly benefited from them. But I believe we played well enough to win before that.
Week in, week out, we've spoken about belief in players, confidence not dipping at all. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to see it in action. And is that something that's tangibly been noticeable this week?
Well, I think after the game, I said it to the local press. Players just played well. Simple as that. In a simplistic way, really. Players played where they should be playing, individually. And that brought the team's performance together and allowed us to win a game of football in the Premier League, which is whoever you're playing is always very difficult. So, I looked through the team afterwards on Tuesday night, and we weren't carrying anybody. Nobody was struggling for form or belief, and there's all sorts of things talked about, allowing players to have a run of games or playing back into form. But on that one-off game, they played well and gave them an opportunity of winning a game, and we're going to have to do that on Sunday. But it's pretty simple, Both wing-backs played well. The three centre-halves defended very, very well and were good in possession. The midfield three were excellent, and we had a threat at the top of the pitch, and the substitutes contributed. I know Jakes obviously didn't touch the ball in his cameo last 2 minutes of the game, but positive performances from the skipper. Obviously got his 100th goal, and great for him. And Rian coming onto the pitch, who gave us a spark in the second half.
When you brought Rian in and made several other summer signings, Chris, is this what you envisaged, having options to perhaps change the flow of the game if it was so required?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you construct a squad in what you've got to invest in at the time, and to make you better. Our options obviously were different to other clubs' options, and these were the best options for us at the time. It had a younger feel to it, of course, which you can understand why. We believe we brought some good players in. It's difficult for the young players, of course, when your team isn't going well. But I envisage Rian coming onto the pitch, easing him into the team instead of just chucking him in, which we've had to do at times, but easing him in at the right time when the team's playing well. And I thought you saw that, when the team was playing well, especially second half. Yeah, I understand they were down to 10 men, but we had a bit more of the ball. But Rian made a positive contribution, and he's a good player, as we feel all the young players that we've brought in are. They're going to obviously be judged in the Premier League right now, which is understandable. But you've seen their ages, you've seen the backgrounds, and hopefully they will get better in time.
One other thing that's been widely spoken about in the light of Tuesday's win, Chris, is obviously players celebrating goals. You're not alone in the Premier League and the Football League, certainly, in saying it. Initially, at least, it's difficult for players to not celebrate, especially when Sheffield United, have gone through.
You're really
quickly corrected,
there, mate, aren't you?
On a serious note, Chris, going through the run that Sheffield United have, especially so, That response has been criticised, though. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you caught up in the game, and I'm a very busy man at the moment, or always seem to be. So, I apologise personally if my comments were found to be insensitive. It is a very emotive game, and we will do our best. I'm on a Premier League managers meeting this afternoon, and we've had some instructions, obviously, over the last week regarding the situation. And yeah, I don't think I was on my own as a manager. I think the majority of managers have said the same thing. We understand. We have to adapt and do better, and we will try to do better and adapt. But as you saw on Tuesday night, it doesn't make it right. Whether it was at Burnley or at Spurs the night after, or at Bramall Lane, or any of the other game that took place on Tuesday night, there was celebration. So I think it will. The longer this goes on, players will adapt to it more. But the message for us is right. As I said, it's very emotive. But there's the other part of it. We've all been affected by it. We all know people that have been affected by the virus. We all know people that are working in the NHS that are doing a magnificent job. We all know people that have suffered with it at our football club. But I think if you look at our football club, we've had 5 positive cases of the virus over out of 1,300 tests. So I think that shows you how serious we're taking it and the protocols and sticking to it. But yeah, I apologise, of course, because you do get caught up in talking about the question of emotion. And you look at there's huge games in the Premier League up and down the country, but you look at the standout fixture over the weekend, and the emotions running high in the Liverpool versus Manchester United game. So we'll all do our bit, as we've all tried to do our bit to keep football going and adhere to protocols. But yeah, apologise if I was a bit insensitive at the time. But as I said, like all the other Premier League managers, I was just answering the question at the time, and I was saying that how difficult, not impossible, it will be to control, but we'll do our best to control it.
Sure. Looking ahead to this weekend then, Tottenham, you had a couple of good results against them last season.
Well, we need another big performance and to get another good result. Incredible amount of respect for the manager. He's my favourite current manager in the Premier League, amongst a load of really fabulous managers, but I really like him, and I know he splits opinion, but for me, he's an incredible guy, box office, and most importantly, he's a winner. And I believe he'll have watched us because of how he goes about his business. And if we play well, then who knows? But we're up against a top side with fabulous players and the big one, the main man who's one of the main men in world football, and has been, and for me always will be.
And what's the latest team news heading into this weekend, Chris?
Yeah, we've got a few out. I think we've got 7 out for the weekend, which is a big chunk of our squad. I think when you look at it at the start of the season, you look at possibly 20% that are going to be unavailable, but obviously that percentage is a lot higher for us at the moment. So, but we're hopeful that we'll get a couple back, but we might lose one, and we've got a doubt about one. So yeah, again, it's not been great for us in terms of having everybody available like we did last year, and obviously that does affect us as a football club, as you can imagine.
Finally, we're midway through this transfer window now. I know at the outset you said in an ideal world you'd like to get a couple of loan signings in and early. That clearly hasn't happened. Is there any signs of movement?
No, there's nothing to report, Rich, on that front.
Cheers, Chris. I'll go and work on my Wednesdays and Uniteds.
Thank you, pal.
Hi, Chris. You all right?
Andy.
Well, I suppose let's just follow on from that. I mean, without mentioning the blue and white side, what's the reason for the delay then with transfers? Do you think?
I've really got nothing to talk about on the transfers, and Andy, if I'm honest, I'm going to talk about the team. I've not really got anything to talk about regarding the incomings and outcomings. There won't be anybody. Well, I have, obviously with the numbers, the numbers that we're running with at the moment at the football club with the injuries. There'll be obviously nobody going out and nothing to report on incomings.
The player who was getting closest to returning to fitness, aside from Baldock and Stevens the other day, was McBurney. Where's he then in his rehab?
Yeah, working away. Been out on the grass today. So it's an obviously difficult one because of the nature of the injury with volley, and it hopefully still being a contact sport, which I'll be disappointed if it turns out not to be. The nature of the injury has to be tested in training. So he's come through the early parts of his recovery, and we've still got another day to go and to see where he's at. But is a doubt, but be delighted if he's available. But it's really a day by day process with volley.
When you were talking to Sky about some of the younger players who are making their way, I wonder if sort of further evidence of the development of Ethan Ampadu was shown against Newcastle the other day. I mean, it didn't go unnoticed that he got man of the match. I mean, he, like everybody else, has kind of had his critics this season, but a fine performance against Newcastle.
I think it's, listen, these young boys, if you look at the backgrounds, if I take, the England under-21 goalkeeper who was coveted by a lot of teams in the summer, the England under-21 centre-forward who was coveted by a lot of teams in the summer, Ethan Ampadu, Welsh international from Chelsea, went to Leipzig last year, coveted by a lot of clubs in the summer. It's been difficult for them because as young players, as you can obviously imagine, coming into a side that's got his injuries, that obviously had not got the results at the start of the season, that would affect flow, belief, confidence, momentum, would be a test for these young players. It would be a test for senior players as it is and it has been. Look, it's been a test for Ollie Norwood. It's been a test for John Egan. It's been a test for Ender Stevens. He's been a test for Fleck, Basham, Baldock. And these are experienced boys that have played 200, 300 and 400 games. So as you can imagine, it's going to be a test for those guys. But hopefully with results, as they have been over the last couple of games, and if we can keep that going and still pick up results, then they're going to show those performances that they showed the other night. Aaron, clean sheet, delighted for him. Ethan's performance was excellent, playing a position that he's not really played a lot. And Rian coming off the bench. We don't think we've signed mug players, but there is always this instant, how can I say it? Instant sort of opinion on them that people want to make, instant judgment on these players. I want back against these three boys having decent careers, in my opinion. But they have got to go and carve that out. But as I said at the start, it's, as you can imagine, when if a really good player came into our team when it wasn't playing well, and the performance levels weren't great, and the consistency levels of experienced players are not up to where they should be, then it's going to be a struggle. And I said this afterwards to you. I said, let's look at this from a really simplistic point of view. Whether it's me or we haven't done our jobs to the best of our ability. The players haven't played well enough, but they played well on Tuesday night. They played well regardless if they've played the last 10 games or they've played 2 games. They played well. They got the job done themselves. I got the job done. I believe it, and the coaching staff did. But most importantly, the players got the job done, and they dragged the mate alongside them into a decent performance. And we had everybody playing in the manner that they can play and putting in decent performances, everybody contributing, the skipper coming off the bench and contributing, Ethan contributing, Ryan contributing, Aaron Ramsdale, all the oldest players in the group contributing, even Jags coming off the bench for a cameo minute and a half to get us over the line. So, instant judgment is something that we have to put up with, but these boys are going to be good players, and they're going to play better in a team that hopefully can hit a little bit of form and show the belief and confidence that they've shown over the last 4 or 5 days.
4 points out of Spurs last season. How do you assess Spurs right now?
Well, they're right up there. I think the manager will be extremely frustrated with late goals. Some incredible late goals that I should imagine, looking at the manager's career, that as I said, he will be a little bit frustrated with, because if you add those take those late goals off, then obviously that affects their points total. It's not a bad points total at the moment, and not a bad league position at the moment, but I've got to say they would be right up there, wouldn't they? They'd be top of the league. They've got some outstanding players, and as I said in the interview, just box office manager who I think is the best in the business.
No doubt, clearly they're an amazing team. Have some of those recent results that they've had, where they've taken the lead and not sustained that right to the end, given you cause for optimism, including the most recent match, clearly as well?
I've got to say, I've got all on Andy looking after my own team and making sure that we're right and we can be competitive on the day. Not looked at sort of, they concede this or they concede that. They've got players that can, they've got some incredible players off the bench, incredible players that don't get into the, well, it's 20 now, isn't it? It's not 18 no more. It used to be 1, didn't it? It used to be 2 in the day. Now it's 20. They've got some incredible players that don't even get into their squad. Some fabulous players. So, as always in this division, we have to play to the best of our ability, which we did last year. And we took big moments, didn't we? We took big, I always remember our attitude down at Tottenham, disappointing to go behind with a mistake, come roaring back, and the controversy with Dids' goal. But great attitude, and I thought a fabulous performance, and obviously another really good performance here at home at the back end of the season. But even in that day, I think Harry Kane got 4, didn't he? That day he had that trick called, wiped off through VAR and indecision. So, they got brilliant players all over the pitch, especially at the top. Incredible quality. Son, Harry Kane, Moura, all, we can sit here all day. Every one of their players are international players and extremely talented. So we're going to have to produce yet again another really good performance.
Best of luck on Sunday. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Andy.
So.
Hey, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you. Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. I'm interested in your thoughts on Jose. I know you've kind of mentioned him a few times already, but clearly you respect him. But there's a respect coming back the other way, isn't there? We saw that after the Spurs game when you beat them at Bramall Lane. He famously interrupted one of your interviews. What did he actually say to you? And did that conversation continue afterwards?
Well, it might might not be much respect this season after the results that we've had. It might be looking at us as one season wonders, but no, I think he gets the game and he understands the game, and yeah, for me, he's box office and brilliant. He's just a winner. Done it in different countries, and yeah, he splits opinion. He doesn't ever split opinion on me. The times that I've met him, he's been a fabulous guy to talk to. I've met him a couple of times away from the game as well. I met him in the hotel after we played Chelsea, and we had 5 minutes, which was brilliant for me. And he's one of those people that you just get nervous inside. I'm thinking I'm a 53-year-old being nervous meeting Jose Mourinho, but I just see what he's done and how he handles himself, and I just think he's brilliant. And he was complimentary of how we played, and hopefully he's complimentary on Sunday. But everything goes out the window, as you can imagine, because he don't get his track record, winning things and turning teams around and doing what he's done without being the ultimate winner and absolutely ruthless in everything he does. And he's yet again he's got a team that's right up there as well, and challenging.
So detect then, you're a little bit starstruck. I mean, it's a long way from your days stood on the touchline at Alfreton to suddenly be stood alongside him.
Well, you just have to bring that journey up, Paul, don't you?
But the facts are there, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not embarrassed about my journey, and and why should I be? But it's as I said, the Premier League is full of characters, brilliant managers, but for me, he's top of the tree in my opinion.
Have you got his phone number? Could you ring him up?
Why do you want it?
Well, yeah, if you got it, I'll ring him. But is it the kind of manager that you can pick the phone up to, or have you ever done it, or would you never do it?
No, I've not. I've not got that relationship with him. But I should imagine that if I had or would get that opportunity, he would. I think obviously. That's my first time in sort of being up against him last year at the end of the season. So I've met him a couple of times. So I've not got there's no sort of long relationship that I've had with him. But I should imagine players that have played for him and known him, he would be the same as the relationships I've got with people that I've played for or known for a long time. It certainly comes across that way, and I think it's as I said, players enjoy playing for him because he pushes them and he makes them winners as well as being the ultimate winner himself.
Who gets the job of marking Harry Kane, who is playing a little bit deeper, it would seem, this season?
I hope so. I hope he plays at centre half. Not about that. If he tries to pick the ball up off the centre half, I'll be more than happy. Just keep him about 120 yards away from our goal. That'll do, mate.
Everyone talks about Kane, but Son is the one that personally I really like. Not that it really counts so much, but Son
quite
really
like a lot of their players, if I'm honest, Paul.
Yeah,
especially at the top of the pitch.
But Son and what he brings to the game, his attitude as well, everything about him, he seems to have really kind of come to the fore in the last year or two.
Yeah, proper. They're just proper players, aren't they? Proper players, proper men. And I've seen the documentary, the Amazon documentary, and it's brilliant. It opens up a lot, and obviously it's something that possibly I wouldn't be too in a hurry to get involved in. I think that might open up a few eyes. It's been interesting watching the personalities in it as well. But watching him on the pitch and what he's done, obviously under the previous manager and Jose, they've got some great players, haven't they? He's got some good players. They've got some good players that, as I said, don't even get a game. So it's a proper squad, strength in depth, and resilient and shape and structure, but certainly, as we saw, even most I suppose, noticeably in the second game. I think they scored 7 that night, didn't they? And thankfully for us, the majority of them were ruled out. But they can hurt you from every part of the pitch. So a different challenge for us on Sunday to the last 2 challenges, but one that I sense the players are really looking forward to.
Last one, promise. Billy said after the game that he felt the pressure was off a little bit now, given that everyone's written you off. Do you go along with that, and will that help you going forward, do you think?
I think the pressure's been off us for the last 2 seasons, season and a half, because rightly so, we should have been written off when we first stepped into the division. For the obvious. So, that doesn't change for me. The outside perception, of course, changes because what you achieve, but nothing really changes for me. We're underdogs in an incredibly competitive division. So whatever the skipper says, I understand. I basically have said right the way along, we've got nothing to lose anyway, because everybody, possibly changed a little bit from last year, but there's still a lot of people, when they see, would expect us to be battling it out. We're obviously battling it out in a position that we didn't expect to be in terms of points total, but that's something that we have to affect. Whether it's nothing to lose or everything to lose, we have to have the balls to go out there and produce performances when the pressure's on. That's what this division's all about, and we have to continue doing it.
Come on, thank you.
Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, mate.
Nath.
Hi, Nath. Scoffer. That's terrible.
Yeah, I can't get away with anything with Kev watching. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, we could have that, couldn't we? We could just do it on everybody, couldn't they? Apart from
me. I didn't realise they had that option. Changing my name. Hi, Chris, you okay? Just a couple of questions from me, Chris, on players and specific players, if I can. Obviously, if January becomes a tough window and you become short on numbers, is there an option to bring Luke Freeman back from Forest?
No.
Or is he there?
No, he's there for the season.
Jack O'Connell, I know you said that he was looking at around about February, March being back on the grass, but obviously there might still be some time before he's anywhere near match fitness. Is he going to be included in the 25 when you submit your list in January? Yeah,
he will be, yeah. So that's great news, but as I've said all along, Nath, about Jack, that this is not straightforward injury. And I've said that all along from obviously the start of the season. It's not a straightforward injury. He had to have the operation. He's still got a long way to go. There's still got to be certain tests and procedures that he needs to come through and return to training and return to playing and being cleared to do that. So, I wanted to tell everybody that, Jack is on his way and he's working extremely hard, but, there's still a hell of a long way to go for Jack O'Connell to be involved at the first team. But obviously, from my point of view, an incredibly talented player in our journey and one that we've enormously missed. No disrespect to the players that have tried to come in and fill that position, but he's been a huge player for us and a huge miss.
With that in mind, your transfer priorities in January, are they still the same too, the defender and possibly someone further forward?
As I've said, Nath, I don't really want to talk about the thing. I've talked enough about it, basically.
I just didn't know with Jack coming back if your priorities had changed and you were moving away from that one, or if they stayed the same.
No, nothing to talk, nothing to report.
And just last one from me: is Jack Rodwell one of those who's in the injured party at the minute? Is it a long injury? Is it a short one?
He's had an unfortunate injury. As I've talked about all along, he's a lot of these injuries, the majority of them have been impact injuries. So he had a heavy fall about a week and a half ago. So he's still recovering, but he's one of the 7. But not a long-term one, hopefully. the cup match next week will be an opportunity for Jack to be involved in that.
Top man, thanks, Chris, and good luck
Cheers,
on Sunday.
Thanks.
Cheers, pal.
Shieldsy, do you want to kick off the embargoed bit for